Hey guys, welcome back to Big Ferrari's Garage. So today we're installing the radiator. I got it mocked up in place, and we're going to be welding on the tabs onto the radiator and onto the roll cage. So it's a little smoky outside because the forests are burning down in Oregon, and the smoke, believe it or not, is floating all the way to Arizona. So just remember, only you can prevent forest fires. Let's get into the project. Hey, okay, so here's our radiator, and it's going to mount under the bar. And then the fans are going to be on over the bar with a cutout for the bar. So I'm going to mount it with these 2-inch high, 1.5 inch mounts, 3/16 thick. And the way it's going to work is this is going to weld onto the frame. It's going to have this bushing inside it, this little rubber grommet. Through the rubber grommet is going to be your bolt, and welded to the radiator is going to be the aluminum tab, and that rubber grommet is going to allow it to have some movement so you don't crack your radiator or your welds on the tab. If you go solid mount, when you're off-roading and stuff, the car's got to flex, and if you're solid welded and you're solid mounted, you're going to break your radiator. It's a guarantee. So just this little bit of movement here in each corner is going to turn out to actually be quite a bit of movement. You'll never crack your radiator. Well, I wouldn't say never, but pretty much never. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give myself enough room for this to be welded to the radiator, that to be welded on, plus an 1/8 inch of rubber. So I'm going to just put these on together. I'm going to remember that I need an 1/8 inch of space for the rubber to be between there. So here's my mount. I'm going to go right there with my weld. Mark it over here. So I know exactly where I need to weld that tab. Mark it. Now we're going to get to welding. The trick to welding is keeping the surface that you're welding to spotless. No paint, no oil, nothing. If you can do that, you should get a beautiful weld. Now what I'm using is a 110 amp Century welder set on 5.5 for speed, set it on high for my amperage. That's all it has. You do not need fancy welders to get high-end welds. I know there's people out there that swear by it and everything, but for 27 years, I have been using this welder right here. 27 years. I've been using this little Century. Moving a tripod around, but that thing has just a high and low heat and a number 0 to 10 on the speed for the wire, and that is just an outstanding welder. Now I'm going to go upside down on both sides, but this one is literally upside down. So I'm going to do halfway around, then come over here and do the other half. Make sure your helmet's tight. Earlier I got a cherry that went down inside my ear. That sucked. You should wear earplugs, because if it gets to your eardrum, melts a hole through it, you're going to have shit time. And here we go. You hear how smooth that welder's running? there's no popping or crazy stuff going on, that's because it's clean. It's not hitting oil and paint, losing its arc. Now I welded on the bottom, that's going to pull that thing that way. So now I'm going to want to weld on the opposite side. I welded this side, I'm going to weld the opposite side, and I'm going to weld it up here to help pull it back. And of course you're on that side, so I can't weld over there, so now I got to weld left-handed, upside down. Okay, so that whole time I was losing control of I couldn't get my stick up here, but I fought it. Sometimes you can't quit. You're in the middle of a weld, you want it to look good, you gotta keep on going and find out how to fight it. Alright, let's try this one. I don't even know how to get in here to see this one. That's what I'm talking about. I got a cherry on the side of my head right now. Fucking burning me. Want good welds, you just got to get through that. Alright, let me see if I can do this around you so you can see. Do that cursive E as soon as my puddle gets going. I'm going to drive that puddle. Doing the cursive E. A second to cool so that slag will break off. Make sure that's off there. Okay, so that's just where I stopped and restarted. So. Yeah, hey, can't be perfect. Now we'll just put in the grommet and we'll start TIG welding onto the radiator. So we're gonna give this a squeeze, get it started in there. Then start working it in with a screwdriver. Dude, you wonder why old guys take years and years to build a hot rod? It's because they're freaking arthritis. Ugh. So you can see this allows quite a bit of movement. All right, there she is, mounted in place. Got the brackets in, got the top brackets in. Just gotta get the bolts tightened, do my trim work here to clean it up. She's in. Hey, we're back. So I've got the radiator complete. The install was done. Got the tabs welded onto the frame. Got the aluminum tab welded onto the radiator in all four corners. Got the grommet put in so that it can have some movement, little space between the roll bar. That way it doesn't hit the roll cage, so it's just hanging there in midair. Now we're going to be on to this. I extended these edges, welded it on. I over welded, put a lot of aluminum on here because what I want to do is round it off so that it looks like this. I don't want to actually see the welds. I want to have a round look, and so I just literally globbed it on everywhere so that I'd have room to sand and polish and make it look like that. But this is going to be tomorrow's project. What I'm going to do is cut this up and over and down using a 1 3/4. This is a 3, but 1 3/4 because my bar is 1 1/2. That'll give me a 1/4 inch of clearance, and I'm going to use that up here, and then coming off of it, I'll just cut them straight off. That way I'll get a nice round edge. I don't have to try and do it with a grinder or Dremel. Just cut a hole, and then after that, cut it open. And then that is going to slide down over the bars and actually sandwich the frame, yet it won't actually touch the frame. You're going to have a rubber grommet in there and it'll mount to the radiator. So we'll be doing that tomorrow.